Hello everyone, and welcome to my assignment 3, the use of Microsoft OneNote to promote self-directed learning, specifically within middle school science students, because that's the area in which I primarily do most of my teaching. So the teaching and learning theory behind this approach is constructivism, based upon a student-centered model as opposed to the traditional teacher-centered model. So it is a change in emphasis of the role of the teacher. It has become more common in recent decades, particularly with the increased use of technology, and it's necessary to cater for diverse learners and also to align with changes in society. Now, just expanding on the first of those points, supporting diverse learners, there's a reference here by Lai, which I'll just go into in OneNote. So this reading here by Lai goes through quite a few good points supporting the use of constructivism, and particularly because it does address the needs of diverse learning. So just a few points to go through within this particular article, and note that this is actually done within OneNote as well, inserted as a printout, and then you can highlight and annotate as we go. So the paper discusses how the use of digital technologies may support a shift of cultural practices in teaching and learning to better meet the needs of 21st century higher education learners. Now, even though they're talking about higher education learners here, I believe it also does apply to secondary school. The changing needs of higher education learners. Okay, down here, these mature part-time and international learners have different expectations from the traditional school leavers about what is needed throughout their learning, and again I believe that does apply to schools as well. So more flexibility in teaching and learning processes. So this can apply it can apply to not just formal environments but informal and non-formal environments as well. Also, other points in here that link up with constructivism. Mention again of the emphasis on student-centered learning rather than teacher-centered learning. It's a shift that has happened in the last few decades, and going further with that, traditionally learning is taking place within 4 classroom walls, but in the future, and in present day and in the future as well, it's should happen in a more diverse setting. Should happen outside the higher education institutions, in formal settings. So not only within the classroom but at home, and really wherever students can communicate with each other, learning can occur. Obviously that learning can occur within an individual as well. The rest of the article goes into digital technologies in higher education, as well as a few other points on a bit of expansion on online learning. So that's just a brief overview there of this article by Lai. Sorry, the last point, again mentioning the link between formal and informal learning, which is supported by constructivism, and is supported also by the use of technology. Now, going back through the second point of why constructivism is necessary, it aligns with changes in society. There's a few articles to go through there as well. Okay, so we've been through that Lai article. There's 2 articles here. You can see the readings listed there. And going into detail with those, first of which talks about, again, there are some common themes coming through here. Learning in the 21st century is more student-centered and oriented towards lifelong learning and changing in a manner that promotes development. So suggesting that learning now is a different process than it was in previous decades, and there's change, and mainly one of the reasons that's necessary is to align with changes in society. So information literacy is a key competency that is of a vital importance, particularly for independent studying, self-directed learning, lifelong learning and social development. So this information literacy that is mentioned here is a critical component of self-directed learning, and that's for students to be able to direct their own learning. They need to have a high degree of information literacy. There's a whole expansion of these points under here, and another important point, and this information literacy forms the basis of lifelong learning. So it's essential if students are able to succeed at school, at life in their chosen field, they need to be literate in the information that they're dealing with. So there's a few other points down here as well. Again, motivation can be linked in with this. Students, if they're interested in the information and they are literate in that information, which generates success, they become more motivated, it becomes a positive cycle. And again, the mention of e-learning, which can support constructivism and self-directed learning as well. So it's an interesting article that goes through the studies here, but I won't go into that anymore. Let's move to the second of these articles now, by Dawson, using technology to encourage self-directed learning. So again, common reference here, changing 21st century requires self-directed learning, because that's going to suit the society in which the learners will be moving into. Other points: the kind of educational experiences which promote self-directed learning are those that motivate learners to engage in continued learning, that offer learners opportunities to practice self-management and self-monitoring. So continued learning suggests that it's not just happening in a formal environment, but it's also applying to any other environment where the student exists, therefore being informal and non-formal. So practice self-management and self-monitoring. So if students are able to monitor and manage their behaviour, their thoughts, their actions, then they're demonstrating self-directed learning. And it's critical that teachers put students in those situations in which they are able to demonstrate those skills. Back to some highlighting. Self-directed learning skills can be developed and promoted within such environments through careful design of interactive tools. So interactive tools promote self-management, self-reflection, and students really taking charge of where they're going with their learning. So this whole article is about a collaborative lecture annotation system. So it's sort of similar to the OneNote in a way. One of the tools in OneNote, as I'm doing here, you can insert PowerPoints, printouts, and you can make annotations as you go through. This article describes the collaborative annotation system in which those comments can be shared. But has got some similarities with the OneNote system that I'm mentioning here. Okay, so back to the PowerPoint. In summary, from these slides, we can also understand that constructivism changes the traditional role of the teacher, as that was also mentioned earlier. The teacher should assume the role of a facilitator, and students should assume the role of an active learner. Now that's from another article, and there's just another clipping from that. You can read through that. Again, the mention down here, constructivist learning theory, problem-based, inquiry-based. So learning should be an active social process. And technology can promote constructivism. Another clipping from this article describes self-paced learning, which has been around for quite a while, around for more than half a century, dating back to the behaviourist B.F. Skinner. So even back into in the mid-80s, the advent of microcomputers made it possible to design more efficient self-paced instruction. So for several decades it's been recognised that technology can promote constructivism. Other aspects of self-paced learning, such as choosing content, sequence and learning objectives, also come into play, especially in designing instruction that favours constructivism. Therefore, it has long been known that technology can promote self-paced, self-directed learning in this case. Okay, why was OneNote chosen for this approach? Well, basically I was limited to the programs which students already had loaded onto their laptops. Out of all those options, this was the only one that really did what I wanted it to do. It caters for a range of learning styles. You can use, you can go through and look at videos, YouTube links, insert printouts, textbooks, PDFs, annotations, PowerPoints. All of those learning styles can be catered for within OneNote. And there's also information here from another reference. By providing a variety of learning styles, or catering for a variety of learning styles, you're more likely to the students are more likely to reach their goal more quickly and effectively. Okay, and there's videos in the remaining links within this PDF, within this presentation, that demonstrate the use of OneNote and how it can cater for a range of learning styles. Thank you.